Beneath streets filled with traffic, an enormous machine is pushing through rock that has been buried for millions of years. People above may never feel it, yet below them, an underground factory is cutting, transporting, and building almost continuously. This is a tunnel boring machine, or TBM. Calling it a giant drill barely describes it. The circular machine at the front is only the beginning. Behind it stretches an entire production line, carrying power, ventilation, conveyors, and construction equipment. But how can steel survive against solid rock? How does the machine move forward with nothing in front of it to pull against? And most importantly, why does the mountain not collapse into the empty space it leaves behind?
The answer comes from 4 synchronized operations: fracture the rock, remove every broken piece, push the machine forward, and support the new tunnel. If even one operation falls behind, the entire system slows or stops. Let us follow that process from front to back.
The answer comes from 4 synchronized operations: fracture the rock, remove every broken piece, push the machine forward, and support the new tunnel. If even one operation falls behind, the entire system slows or stops. Let us follow that process from front to back.
There is no universal TBM. Engineers study rock samples, faults, groundwater, and pressure along the proposed route before choosing a machine. Soft ground may require a pressurized chamber. Stable rock can support a more open design. Mixed geology demands a compromise.
For this journey, we will use a double-shield hard rock TBM. Its body has 2 shielded sections connected by a telescoping structure. That unusual arrangement allows the front to excavate, while workers and machines build the permanent tunnel lining behind it.
At the face is the cutter head, a massive steel wheel matching the tunnel's diameter. Mounted across it are hardened disc cutters. They are not powered little saw blades. Each disc rolls freely as the main cutter head turns against the rock. The cutting edge concentrates enormous hydraulic thrust onto a narrow line. The rock directly beneath it is crushed, but the real work happens nearby. Stress spreads below the surface, creating cracks that grow between the paths of neighboring cutters. When those cracks meet, a chip breaks away. This process is called spalling. The machine therefore fractures rock by compression rather than slicing it like wood. Effective boring depends on the correct combination of cutter spacing, thrust, and penetration per revolution. The cutter head does not need extreme speed. Large electric motors drive it through heavy gearboxes, producing immense torque at relatively low revolutions. More speed can create unnecessary heat and wear. What matters is applying controlled force and gaining useful depth with every turn.
Every disc follows a circular path. Cutters near the center travel a short distance, while the outer gauge cutters travel farther and shape the final tunnel diameter. Those outer tools experience particularly demanding loads because they help form the tunnel's curved edge.
Fracturing the face creates another problem. Thousands of rock fragments now block the machine. Openings and buckets around the rotating cutter head scoop this material upward. Gravity then guides the fragments through internal chutes toward the center of the machine. The fragments, known collectively as muck, fall through a funnel-shaped muck ring onto a conveyor. Our single rock chip has now moved from the tunnel face to a belt passing through the machine's center, without interrupting the cutter head. From there, additional conveyors carry the rock through the trailing gantries and eventually out of the tunnel. The removal rate must match the excavation rate. If the belts stop while the cutter head continues, debris can accumulate and production must be halted. Now comes the cleverest question. What pushes the cutter head into the rock? Hydraulic cylinders provide the forward force, but a cylinder needs something solid to react against. The solution is an underground demonstration of Newton's third law. In stable rock, powerful gripper shoes extend sideways and clamp the machine against the tunnel walls. They do not pull the TBM forward. Instead, they anchor the rear section so the main thrust cylinders can push the front section ahead. With the grippers locked, the main thrust cylinders extend. The telescopic shield lengthens, pressing the rotating cutter head into fresh rock, while the anchored rear section remains still. The machine advances only a small distance, but it does so under carefully controlled force.
This separation creates the double shield machine's greatest advantage. While the front section is boring, the rear can install a concrete ring. Excavation and lining happen in parallel instead of waiting for one another, saving valuable time in suitable rock. At the end of the stroke, the front pauses, the grippers release, and auxiliary cylinders reposition the rear shield closer to the front. Then, the grippers extend again. The reset takes minutes, and another cutting stroke begins. This is how a machine weighing hundreds or even thousands of tons crawls through a mountain. Grip, push, cut, reset, and repeat. Its progress may look slow by the minute, yet continuous operation can turn those short strokes into substantial daily advances. Meanwhile, curved precast concrete segments enter from the completed tunnel. Each segment has been manufactured to precise dimensions and arranged as part of a matched ring. Service vehicles and cranes carry them forward through the long backup system. Near the rear shield, a remotely controlled segment erector lifts each piece. Its rotating arm can move a heavy curved segment around the tunnel circumference and position it with precision, often using a vacuum gripping system instead of chains. The pieces are assembled one after another to create a complete structural ring. Their joints are aligned, sealed, and connected. A final key-shaped segment closes the circle, locking the geometry together like the last piece of an enormous underground puzzle. Flexible gaskets around the segment edges compress as the ring is assembled. They form a barrier against groundwater. This is critical because the tunnel may pass far below the water table, where even a small, unsealed path can produce a persistent leak. The cutter head must create a hole slightly larger than the finished lining. That leaves an annular gap around the concrete. Grout is injected into this space, supporting the ring, limiting ground movement, and distributing loads between the lining and surrounding rock. The circular lining is strong because external loads are carried mainly around the ring in compression. The TBM's shield protects the working area until this permanent support is installed. That controlled sequence is why an open tunnel does not simply remain unsupported behind the machine. Cutting is useless if the machine misses its destination. Surveyors establish a precise underground reference network. A guidance system continuously compares the TBM's position and angle with the designed alignment, showing operators whether the machine is drifting horizontally or vertically. Steering does not require wheels. Operators vary hydraulic thrust and use articulation between machine sections to point the cutter head slightly off-center. The correction is tiny, but over many strokes, it guides the machine along broad curves and controlled gradients. A TBM cannot make a sudden turn. Its enormous body follows the path created by the cutter head, so every correction must be gradual. Guidance data, survey checks, and operator decisions work together to prevent a small error from becoming a major miss. The equipment behind the shields keeps everything alive. Transformers distribute electrical power. Pumps pressurize hydraulic circuits. Ventilation brings fresh air and removes heat and dust. Cable systems, water lines, workshops, and controls all advance with the machine. Despite its size, the TBM is not simply switched on and left alone. Operators continuously balance thrust, torque, rotation, penetration, and muck flow. Changes in vibration or motor load can reveal harder rock, a worn cutter, or unstable conditions ahead. Rock excavation produces heat, abrasive dust, and severe mechanical wear. Water sprays can cool tools and suppress dust. Lubrication protects the enormous main bearing, while cooling circuits remove heat from motors, gearboxes, and hydraulic systems deep underground. The most dangerous ground is the ground nobody expected. Probe drills can investigate ahead of the face, searching for fractured zones or water. Project teams also compare machine data with geological predictions, giving them time to reinforce, seal, or change operating strategy. In stable rock, the grippers have a strong wall to push against. Inside a weak fault zone, that wall may crumble under pressure. The double shield design can change its behavior, instead of depending on rock that is no longer strong enough. The machine retracts its grippers and operates more like a single shield. Hydraulic cylinders react against the last completed concrete ring and push the whole machine forward. Boring and ring construction now occur sequentially, reducing speed but providing safer control. Water can be just as challenging as weak rock. Where the design allows, crews may inject grout ahead of the machine to seal fractured paths. Pumps, drainage, and waterproof segment gaskets manage the remaining water according to the tunnel's conditions.
Disc cutters eventually wear and must be inspected or replaced. Sensors can help monitor rotation, temperature, and vibration, but maintenance still requires planned access and strict safety procedures. A single damaged cutter can increase drag and accelerate wear on neighboring tools.
A TBM's best speed on one project tells us little about another. Rock strength, abrasiveness, groundwater, faults, tunnel diameter, maintenance, and logistics all matter. The machine succeeds not through brute force alone, but through continuous adaptation to geology.
After thousands of repeated strokes, survey checks, and concrete rings, the cutter head reaches the receiving chamber. The final wall breaks away. What began as solid mountain is now a precisely aligned passage for trains, water, traffic, or utilities.
A tunnel boring machine is powerful, but its real achievement is coordination. It fractures, carries, braces, steers, and builds as one system. Beneath an ordinary surface, that synchronized underground factory transforms geology into infrastructure, and that is how engineering works.